Chapter 10. Dragging along and thinking of all the dreadful things that had happened, John had walked about halfway home when he heard the cheery voice of his father. "Hello, hello," called Mr. Midas, crossing over from the other side of the street. He was on his way home from the station. "You left the party rather early, didn't you?" "What?" Mr. Midas had just seen the patches of streaks of chocolate that were drying on John's face and on his clothes. "Good gracious," he said. "No wonder you left the party early. How did that happen?" John burst into tears. It had all been so awful. And now he could tell his father about his terrible day. He stopped crying and only sniffed a little now and then and told the whole story about taking the coin to the candy store, about buying the box that had turned out to have only one chocolate in it, about the toothpaste, the breakfast, the gloves, the lunch, the trumpet, and finally the apple ducking water. "You mean to tell me that they really all turned to chocolate?" Mr. Midas asked. "You sure you didn't imagine some of this?" "Oh, no," John assured him. "Well," Mr. Midas said, looking doubtful, "we're only a couple blocks from that candy store of yours. Not that I ever noticed one there. Suppose we stroll over and ask the man whether the chocolates always do those strange things to people." "It's on the next corner," John said, recognizing some of the houses on the street. "Not the next house, not the next house, not the next," he said, but John's voice faded into silence. The corner he found the candy store was nothing now but an empty lot. Flat, open ground, littered with a pile of rusty tin cans and broken bottles around the splintery old sign saying, "For sale." Mr. Midas, frowning anxiously at John. "Think we better pay a visit to Dr. Cranium before we go home." "That's where the store was, though," John protested, beginning to cry again. He had shed more tears on that day, it seemed, and certainly eaten more chocolate than in all the other days of his life put together. "I know it was." Dr. Cranium was a busy man. As luck would have it, however, he was able to see Mr. Midas and John almost at once. Well, said Dr. Cranium. "And how are we getting along now, John? Have we cut down on our candy, eh?" "How do you do?" John responded dully. "Apparently he's had a bad day, Dr. Cranium," Mr. Midas said. "Trouble at school, you know. A little accident at a birthday party. What I worry about is he keeps saying that everything he puts in his mouth turns to chocolate." "No more than a nursery fantasy, I'm sure," Dr. Cranium said, Mr. Midas. "Well, John," he went on, looking down with a smile, "suppose you tell me in your own words what the matter seems to be." "Everything I put in my mouth turns to chocolate," John explained. "Everything I eat and everything I drink changes to chocolate. I'm thirsty, and I'm getting a pain, a bad one, I think." Dr. Cranium sighed patiently, invited John to open his mouth and say, "Ah." "Ah," said John. Dr. Cranium peered into John's mouth, and they gave him a low whistle of surprise. "Chocolate eating simply must stop," he went to his supply cabinet. "I don't think there's any time to be lost," he told Mr. Midas. "I'm going to try to give the boys some of my own special compound. Dr. Cranium's elixir, I call it. Never fails." Dr. Cranium selected a large bottle from one of the cabinet's crowded shelves. It was the top from the bottle. He got a spoon from another shelf. He filled the spoon with an oily, greenish, yellowish medicine that had yellowish, reddish lights glinting in it. "It doesn't taste very pleasant," Dr. Cranium warned, in John a pleasant tone of voice, "but I'm sure it'll do the trick. Clear the stomach and you clear the mind. That's what I always say." Dr. Cranium offered John the brimful spoon. "Must I?" John asked his father. "I know it'll turn into chocolate." "Go on," Mr. Midas nodded encouragingly. "Drink it down." John took the spoon between his lips. The medicine turned to chocolate. The spoon turned to chocolate. John coughed and spluttered, and the chocolate syrup spurted from his mouth. Dr. Cranium dropped the spoon in alarm. When it stuck to the white tile floor, the chocolate handle snapped into several pieces. "Mercy," said Dr. Cranium. "Never seen anything like it. The bowl's whole system seemed to be so chocolatified that it chocolifies everything it touches." After he recovered somewhat, the doctor went on. "I believe this must be an unprecedented case of chocolatitis. I should call it cranium's disease. I shall want to make an exhaustive study of the child. I think John's had enough excitement for one day," Mr. Midas said.